Hey everybody, if you're watching this the day this comes out, then you're watching it on Memorial Day in the US. So happy Memorial Day. I thought it'd be fun on a day such as this to look back on one of Donald's World War II shorts and kind of talk about it in a little more detail. And the short I chose today is Commando Duck, which sticks out to me for a couple of reasons. The first being that it is the only example that I know of, certainly at the time, of a Disney character fighting the Axis powers. So that's pretty cool on the one hand. And then on the other hand, I think that the short asks the question, does the fact that Commando Duck includes racist depictions of Japanese people taint the entire short? To answer this question, we have to get a little context first. In Commando Duck, Donald is seen taking part in a parachuting mission. Although honestly, it looks like he's the only soldier here, so he's basically Naked Snake in MGS3, but that's beside the point. Donald's participation in this mission suggests that he has been promoted from the rank of private in the US Army to something more akin to a ranger in the Army's 6th Ranger Battalion. Donald parachutes down into the jungle with orders to take out an enemy airfield. He deals with crocodiles, enemy snipers, who Donald assumes are mosquitoes, and his own raft, which becomes massively inflated by a waterfall. Donald tries desperately to outrun the raft, but ends up accidentally poking it, releasing a tsunami that destroys the airfield. Donald finishes by writing a message to his superiors: contacted enemy, washed out same. This is a reference to an actual message sent by an American airman during World War II, with the actual quote being, sighted sub, sank same. Badass. Concerning the more offensive aspects of the short, this is actually very little of the running time. Personally, I think it's okay to admit that the physical representations of the Japanese soldiers are undeniably racist. However, I've read that some people consider the fact that the Japanese soldiers say it's traditional to shoot only when the enemy's back is turned to also be racist. Myself, I think this is a little naive and ignores the point of war propaganda. At the time, the American people were far from certain that they would win the war, and the attack on Pearl Harbor had caused deep psychological trauma for the entire nation. The point of shorts like this, besides just making money, was to make people feel good about being alive, to raise morale at a critical time, and fill people with national pride. This is hardly an exclusively American thing. Nora Kuro was a Japanese manga that started in 1931, depicting the adventures of the titular character, a soldier in the Fierce Dogs Regiment, which was based on the author Suiho Tagawa's time in the Imperial Japanese Army. The manga started out as fun little stories, but eventually morphed into a piece of propaganda celebrating Japan's invasion of China, depicting the enemy soldiers as being part of the Pig's Army. Norakuru also had a series of animated shorts from 33 to 39. Now, while some might say that it's easy to condemn both Commando Duck and the Norakuro stories, and might accuse me of whataboutism, I think it's better to view these works of art in the context of their day. Nowadays, it's no longer popular to dehumanize your enemies in fiction. In fact, most stories seem to overly humanize the antagonists, sometimes at the cost of the so-called hero. The closest things I can think of to it are Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards, but even that deliberately humanizes some of the Germans, and also the 2001 South Park episode, Osama bin Laden Has Farty Pants, although this was more inspired by the Warner Brothers World War II shorts, like Daffy the Commando. Great name, guys! Similar to pulp stories like those of Conan the Barbarian and The Shadow, the Donald shorts and Norakuro stories were written with total moral certitude. There was no room for self-doubt because there was no room for failure in war. Failure in war could mean the destruction of one's way of life or one's entire people. Again, I want to stress that the overtly racist caricatures of the Japanese soldiers are not defensible, and I won't even show them here. But they are typical of the propaganda of the day, a time before the word propaganda had taken on such negative connotations. Commando Duck was directed by Jack King, and it stars the voices of Clarence Nash as Donald and Eddie Holden as the rather offensive Japanese snipers. Well, that's all I've really got to say about that one. This is kind of a short one. I just wanted to kind of get it out for Memorial Day, just have something out and whatnot. I promise that the next video will be about something other than Donald Duck, although I'm not abandoning him entirely, but I do have some other subjects I'd like to talk about, so just, a little preview of the next one. Until then, enjoy your Memorial Day and watch out for mosquitoes. Park Narcs, woo!